Well, I think people need to understand just how hurt and upset Kevin Pietersen has been since he was unceremoniously sacked by the England cricket team. This is a man who scored more runs in all forms of the international game than any England player in history. He was the top scorer in the Ashes this winter. I was out there and watched it happen. And yet he has been made the scapegoat, the fall guy, the one that everyone has been spearing gleefully for the last few months. And he understandably feels extremely hurt by that. And I think the reaction you're seeing in the book and in interviews he's giving now is a reaction of a man who has been crushed emotionally by the scale of the onslaught that came his way. And all he wants to do is have his say. Look, Kevin Pietersen wanted to keep playing for England. He was 33 when he was axed. Sachin Tendulkar and Jacques Kallis were nearly 39 and 40, respectively. Because Kevin could have played Test cricket or international cricket for England for another 4, 5, maybe 6, 7 years. So he feels a large part of his career internationally has been completely sabotaged, and he lays the blame for this at a group of people within English cricket who he thinks had it in for him, didn't know how to manage him, allowed a clique-like environment in the dressing room to develop, which was to his denigration. And I think you add it all up and you have a guy who was the most mercurial, brilliant batsman that England has had in 30, 40 years, who's been just wiped away and told you're never playing again. And he doesn't understand why. To this day, the English Cricket Board has given Kevin Pietersen not a single reason why he was sacked. Quite extraordinary. Look, Kevin doesn't pretend to be perfect, and he's not perfect. You know, I've had many arguments with him. He's an abrasive, opinionated, brash, occasionally cocky character. He'll admit all that. But those are the very qualities which enabled him to be one of the most swashbuckling sportsmen this country has ever seen. You can't have it always. You can't expect him to be like that on a pitch and then want to have a choir boy off it. Kevin is a straight talker, though. I believe every word he says in that book for one reason. He's never lied to me, and he always just gives it to me straight, good and bad. And I'm a friend of his, but also an England cricket fan. And I think that what this book has been for him is a very cathartic experience, but it should also be a massive wake-up call to all those who've believed all this nonsense that's been leaked and briefed against Kevin Pietersen. And you've got to ask yourself, why? What did this guy do? Other than the fact that certain people in that dressing room didn't like him very much, or perhaps, and I think this is more pertinently, were jealous of the fact that he was the only England player that the Indian Premier League ever was interested in, and used to make his millions every year for that 6 weeks period, and that used to really annoy some of the more prima donna types in the England dressing room. Other than that, what has Kevin Pietersen actually done? The biggest crime that I've read so far that appears to be correct is that he may have whistled sometimes when he was out. I mean, really? That's it? A guy who scored 13,000 international runs is pilloried and sacked for occasionally whistling when he's out. Kevin's not that difficult. Michael Vaughan told me that he had far more difficult players in the England team when we won the Ashes in 2005 than Kevin Pietersen. Kevin just needs managing and handling in a smart way. The reason that he loved Duncan Fletcher, who was the great Ashes winning coach of 2005, was that he understood Pietersen and knew how to get the best out of him. It seems to me that what we've seen since with Peter Moores and Andy Flower and the other people running the England cricket team is a sense of we've got to try and dampen this guy. We've got to try and control him. We've got to try and whack him on the head, make him behave. That's not how you get the best out of a brilliant sportsman. It's the opposite to what you should be doing. And the fact that we've now got rid of Kevin Pietersen, when he's still got years left, potentially, to be one of the great cricketers of the world, in a year when we're about to face a World Cup and 19 Test matches, including an Ashes series at home and South Africa away, I think is complete and utter lunacy.